Okay, in this video I'm going to do a deep dive into the October 2024 end of month financial results for Archi-demo Co. This will give you a front row seat as I pull together all of the elements of profit metrics, the budget, the forecast, the actuals. We're going to look at the work in progress, the time and billing, we're going to look at the budget, we're going to look at the revenue forecast, all of those things that come together to update the live business model for Archi-demo Co. Okay, so sit back, grab a cuppa, enjoy the video as I explain what's going on at Archi-demo and where we're heading. October 24 has been a big month for Archi-demo Co. We've had the new Alice Road project start, and more significantly probably we've been notified that our High Street Yoga Studio proposal was unsuccessful. And now that our accounts are wrapped up, everyone wants to know, are we on track to meet our target? And if not, why? Why aren't things going to plan? Overlaying our profit metrics framework will give us a structured and strategic way of working out what's going on so you don't miss anything. But we can't just jump straight to that position by running a few reports out of zero. Before we get to that point, before we even start our analysis, there's a whole bunch of things that we need to check, and a bunch of work that we need to do to pull things together and be satisfied that the results have accounting integrity. That's important because everyone needs to trust the numbers. So we need them to be bulletproof. Anyone who ever sat through a board meeting that's been derailed because there's a wrong number will know exactly what I mean. One of the main ways that we do it is by updating our balance sheet reconciliation file for the movement in the accounts during the month. We need to prove up and substantiate all of our balances. We need to look over the debtors reports for anything that's stale or doubtful, and things like WIP, anything that will affect our cash flow. We're looking through there. I'm not making balance sheet reconciliations a focus of this video, but we will touch on them later on. But let's assume that the work has been done and the balance sheet for these purposes is bulletproof. So once we're happy with the balance sheet, there's a bunch of reports we can go through to understand the performance of the P&L better. We're going to have to compare our actual results against the budget, and we want to understand these variances and the impact that they have upon our full year forecast. And we start to understand the results a lot better when we start going through all the KPIs, the key performance indicators, and we look at things like the effective utilisation rate, work out the effective multiplier, things like revenue per person. And then we'll also spend a bit of time reviewing the time and billing to identify any WIP. And we also need to tie this back to the P&L to understand what's going on there. And by tying it back to the P&L, you're doing that because the P&L has accounting integrity. So it gives you something to anchor the performance on. Once we're comfortable with the results, we need to then update our live financial model, roll it forward, and then we can start to use it as a strategic tool. And we do this by feeding in our actual results. Then we compare our detailed revenue forecast pipeline against this capacity three-way forecast. But ultimately, the reason we're doing this is because we want to see the impact of everything on our cash flow. Once this is all done and put together in a financial pack for the directors, it will allow us to have an insightful, strategic discussion about the future, talk about our goals and decide what we're going to do to keep things on track. Now, we don't want to go flying off on tangents or heading down rabbit holes chasing small stuff just at the moment. So before we immerse ourselves in any of the finer detail, we want to do this high level summary stuff first. So for the current month, we can see here that we've had 72,000 profit versus a budget of 45. So we're $26,000 up. When you start to look at things like utilization at 71.8% and the multiplier at 2.78, you start to understand that everyone's been working really hard. And because we were bang on budget year-to-date September and we've had a better month in October, our year-to-date's up a bit as well. So we take that across to the full year forecast and we can see that we're going to finish up at about 588,000 profit. So at the end of last month, we were forecasting the full year to be 12,000 better ahead. We're now saying that we're going to be 36,000 better ahead than budget. We can then go into our year-to-date actual detail and we can see against budget, and it's all these line items. The purpose of this video isn't to show you how to do variance analysis. Let's just assume that all of these expenses are legitimate and we've done our best to understand these budget variances and if there's any knock-on effect to the full year forecast. And if we take a look at that full year forecast, we can see that the year-to-date actual is feeding in, and the rest of year forecast out here is impacting on our final numbers. And anything that's appeared during that variance analysis stage, we should be updating down into our detailed forecast. I mentioned earlier the balance sheet reconciliations. So this is our balance sheet reconciliation file. Every balance on here, we want to be able to go through and say, yes, we're reconciling these. The debtors report gives us a bit of an insight into cash flow problems. We've actually got, this has been blowing out a bit. We need to get in and collect some of this money pretty quick because it's going to put some pressure on our cash flow. We've got prepayments, we've got directors' loans, fixed assets. We've got payables for payroll stuff. We've got tax provision year to date. We've got accruals, GST and loans. And as I mentioned earlier on, the whole reason we're doing it is because we want to understand what's going on with our cash flow. We can see at the start of the year we had 1.5. It's come down a bit. We had a tax bill to pay. We've had a few other things that we've had to pay, prepayments for things like insurances and what have you. Now we've got $1 million on fixed deposit, and we'd rather leave that there. So that's what we're sort of looking at. Are we dropping below $1 million anywhere where we would have to crack the term deposit? No, we're not at this stage. So everything's looking pretty good there. We can go through the detail of here. This is the drivers that are underpinning everything, and we can just tick these things off. Are they right? And that gives us confidence in the rest of year forecast. Now, obviously, the revenue forecast becomes a critical component of trying to firm up your full year forecast. This is the detail of what's coming in. And we've done some updates. Obviously, we lost the High Street Yoga Studio, so that's come out of our forecast here. Luckily, we made a start on Alice Road, and we can see the rest of the detail in that secured forecast there and what's coming up. And I can see that the next big thing for us to find out about is this Cheap and Nasty Lawyers. We've got in at 50-50. If we win it, now we lost High Street Yoga at 50%. This is at 50-50. If we win it, it's actually going to chuck $1.5 million worth of fees into that forecast. Now we need to just firm that up. Is the 1.5 right? Is the timing right? And that's obviously the next big thing for us. If we don't win Cheap and Nasty Lawyers, we are in a spot of bother. At the moment, this is telling us that against our original budget of 5.016 million, we're coming in at 4.6. So we're about 400,000 under budget. And it's actually 625,000 from the High Street Yoga, but we've managed to pull some of the other jobs forward into this financial year, which has brought it back to the 410 as the difference. So now to time and billing. This is our entire staff mix. We've got 20.5 FTE equivalent employees working for us. This is how they've spent their time, and multiplied by their rates and everything. This is what we get in terms of job costing, which feeds through into the job cost summary. The purpose of this video, again, isn't to teach you how to look at job costing reports, but we can see from this that we've had a realisation rate of about 99. It means our multiplier is 2.78. We had a heap of people that we threw at Alice Road because they had nothing else to do. We had a contract to get the work done. So we've taken a punt on that and we've pushed ahead to the tune of about $128,000. We're a little bit forward on Bunyip Hills. Bunyip Hills is a bit of a problem. We're burning money there and we're forward billed as well. So I'm concerned about Bunyip Hills. Typically, these jobs are going to burn a lot more at the back end and it's already in trouble. So I'd like to get to the bottom of that. But otherwise, everything else is, within reason. Last month we had $67,000 in WIP. This month it's gone up, $108,000. So there's a $41,000 movement that relates to October. The thing about the WIP is that as it grows, you still haven't billed it. Once you've billed it, you've still then got time to wait before you collect the cash. So we don't want to see our WIP building up. But at the same time, we don't want to see our people sitting around with nothing to do. So that's all we could do for now. So when we look at the KPIs, the multiplier was at 2.78. So it's almost bang on. The debtor days have gone up to 46, so we're slightly over where we want it to be. We want to be holding them to about 45 days. The staff FTEs bang on what we are expecting. Utilisation for the month was a bit higher, so everyone's put in more productive hours. And you can actually work out from the time and billing data that we're at about 101% of capacity for the month, and that equates to about 50 hours of overtime work during the month to meet these deadlines. The overhead rate was 1.35 against our 1.56 budget. The fixed overheads are under. Variable overheads are up a little bit. Might want to have a look through that variance analysis again, figure out what was going on there. Cash at bank's down a bit, and that's a result of our debtors going up and our WIP going up as well. And the profit for the month was 15.5% against 11% budget. So if you were looking at these numbers in isolation, without looking ahead, you'd have no idea of the risks that are in front of you. We know that now there's cheap and nasty lawyers is critical for us, and we know even with it, we've got a problem. Now, if we win cheap and nasty, I think it'll get us out of the bind for now, maybe up until about March next year. But beyond that, we still desperately need to land some more work to retain all of these people that we've trained over the years. So that wraps up all of the checks that we need to be doing. This financial pack can now be buttoned up and sent out to the directors, and we can schedule in our board meeting to figure out where to from here. So if you've enjoyed this video, hit the like and subscribe button, tell your friends about it. There's plenty more updates coming for Archi-demo Co in the future. And if you'd like any more information, jump on our website, www.custodianbackoffice.com, and there you'll find plenty of resources that'll help you get started with better financial management in your architecture practice. I'm David Dillon from Custodian Back Office. Thanks very much for watching.